I'm Jasmine Ellis for the Los Angeles Times, and I am here with Russ Parsons, the LA Times food editor, and Noelle Carter, the LA Times test kitchen manager, and we are here to chat about the holiday ebooks filled with over 100 recipes for the holiday, and we will be putting one of these recipes to the test. It is Russ's Mom's Cranberry Sauce.
So you better like it.
So, Russ, what will we be using for this recipe?
This is one of those really, really simple recipes. I'd recommend it for anybody. If this is your first Thanksgiving, this is a great recipe for you to start with. First of all, we ran this thing the first time 20 years ago.
Wow.
Old. And ever since then, we've had people who every year they call us and say, "Are you going to run Mom Parsons Cranberry recipe again?" It's so simple. It's made so many people's Thanksgiving. It's that first one where you're a little nervous. You make it a couple days in advance. It's dead simple. So you start by making a simple syrup.
Okay.
You add water and sugar. You use a lot of, it seems like a lot of sugar to a little bit of water, but it's because cranberries are so tart. And you're going to cook this just until it comes clear. Now, a simple syrup is sugar and water. It's simple. So to make it a little bit more special, we're going to add some spicing to it. Now there's two ways that you can do this. One of them, I mean, honestly, the way it's always been done in my family, you dump them in.
Okay.
But sometimes people, it's like you get a clove in your mouth, it's like, if you're not careful. So you can make a little sachet.
And that's basically,
it's basically just a little, it's like a tea bag.
Okay.
And we've got some cinnamon here. We've got some allspice. And we've got some cloves. And we're just going to combine those and tie them up in the little bag.
Okay.
Pretty.
Yeah, that's great.
It's so aromatic as it's
I know.
ridiculous. It smells like
I can already smell.
And that's what the dish is like. It's like you get those really tart cranberries, you get the sweet syrup, and then you get the spices coming up in the background. I mean, I've probably eaten this for Thanksgiving since I was 6 years old, every year.
What is the story behind this?
It's a funny story, actually, because I've got a column on it that's running Saturday.
Okay.
But the funny thing is that my mom wasn't a good cook. She was a housewife and she had to cook because she had 4 kids.
So you never took
but she wasn't something.
You never took
well, yeah.
Oh, you did?
I was a bad kid. But she had some family recipes that were just absolutely terrific, and so it's so ironic that she wasn't like a great cook, like a creative cook or one of those kinds. But one of her recipes is one of the most requested recipes that we've ever run in the Times. So as someone who's a professional recipe developer, it's kind of humbling. It's like, oh yeah, my mom's cranberries again. Okay, great. Well, but it is a terrific recipe.
And you hear from readers every year about.
Every year, people write in. We ran it the first time in 1992, and then we ran it every year for several years. We haven't run it for about 10 years, and so for the last 10 years, half a dozen calls, maybe a dozen, 20 emails every year saying, "We're looking for Mom Parsons Cranberries. Are you guys going to run that again, or could we have that recipe?"
I'm curious, during the holiday season, what is the most popular question that you get from your readers?
It's funny, we get a lot of questions, just people wanting to recreate recipes that they grew up with. My mom's pumpkin pie, or something like the stuffing I grew up with. And so, we'll look through the archive and send them recipes that they're all tested. Every single recipe we've done here is tested. And so we feel confident that they're foolproof.
What does that mean for them to be tested?
Well, we've got our fabulous test kitchen
here.
This
is my favorite place.
Every single recipe that goes through the paper is tested and frequently retested and retested. And sometimes if we really like it, we'll test it again just a couple more times just to make sure we really like it.
Some of those mini pies for next week.
Oh, yeah,
I think we're going to do those
in the oven
again.
right now.
Yeah,
yes.
test those a few times.
We'll test those, and then when we feel that the recipe's confident, when we're confident to print the recipe, it'll show up in the paper. But there are recipes that they don't make it, and for whatever reason, if we feel a recipe, there are too many questions or the results are inconsistent, we won't run it.
So what was the record? I mean, I know the answer to
48
that.
times I tested a focaccia recipe.
Nancy Silver.
48 times?
Just to make
Crazy
sure,
women, one recipe.
just to make sure that it worked and the recipes were consistent. And yeah, it was 48 batches of focaccia. And I think all of us in the kitchen gained a little bit of weight, but it was fun.
And
You want to take a look at this? It's starting to come to a boil now, and you can see how you don't see the sugar anymore. The sugar is dissolved in there. So I'm just going to let this simmer for just a couple minutes, and then I'll just add the cranberries.
perfect. So you guys have over 100 recipes in this ebook. How was the process of deciding which recipes you wanted to include?
Well, I mean, we really looked back over the last 4 or 5 years and looked at what our favorites were. You know, I mean, we're in California, right? So it's got to, all of that kind of stuff. But also, it's got to taste good. We want things that fit with. I'm not a believer that people should reinvent Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is our one national food holiday. We ought to honor tradition rather than try and break from it. You want to tweak around the edges a little bit. So we tried to get the basics, of what people serve for Thanksgiving, but make them a little special. Elevate them a little bit maybe, or throw a little twist so that people will say, oh, they'll notice it rather than just, sweet potato souffle again.
I think what's so cool too is we've got recipes that kind of run the gamut. If you're a beginning cook, there are beginning recipes in there, like Mom Parsons Cranberry Sauce.
Right.
There are also intermediate recipes and recipes, if you're advanced and you want to, really tackle a Thanksgiving project, we've got those
We've
recipes
got projects. Turducken.
Yes. Turducken. We do have turducken. So, it runs the gamut, and I feel like we kind of cover all different recipes. We've
If
got
you
a bunch
want
of
something
everything.
that's really simple, I'm going to add the cranberries now if you want. And then you just cook these cranberries until they start to pop. You'll hear them later. And you don't want to overcook them, because one of the things that really makes this great is the texture of the cranberry, so that you get the syrup, but then you also get and it's a jelly, but you also get you get a pop from the whole berries. So but back to the book, there was one of them.
Yeah.
If you want something that's really simple, you could do like the dry brine turkey.
Right.
Salt it, put it in a bag, put it in the refrigerator. 3 days later, you've got this turkey. It's going to be
Talk
amazing.
about another recipe that's become a tradition in so many homes.
Or if you want, the other end of the experience, Noel's turducken, which is a turkey stuffed with a duck that's stuffed with a chicken, and each of them has its own stuffing, and you make it a day in advance and roast it.
It's 40 pounds of Thanksgiving fun. That's what it is.
God, I want to
But
come to
and
your
it's a
house for
project,
Thanksgiving.
but it's fun, So we've got all of it, and great sides, gravies, soups, salads,
Tons
desserts.
of pies. We've got appetizers. So it's not just Thanksgiving. It's designed to we've got like a 1.5 billion latkes practically.
Yeah,
so,
it goes
I mean,
beyond. Right.
It covers Hanukkah, it covers Christmas, it covers New Year's Eve, or just even big celebratory meals, which everybody's doing so much.
And I know, in addition to the holiday ebook, you guys also have the holiday cookie.
Oh my gosh, we have the cookie book. It's been updated for the second year. We've got 65 recipes now instead of 50. And
where did you get these recipes from?
They come from everywhere. A lot of the recipes actually come from our cookie bake-off. We're on our 3rd cookie bake-off this year, and the top 10 recipes from each year are reproduced in the cookbook. But we also have recipes from chefs. We have recipes that have been developed in-house. Professional pastry chefs, restaurants, you name it, we've got them all. And a lot of them are requested by readers too.
Yeah. So here's what this looks like when it's ready to go. You can see it's starting to thicken up a little bit, but the cranberries are still whole for the most part. Some of them are starting to break down. So when this is done, you take it off the heat, put it in a container, and stick it in the refrigerator. It's good after a day. It's great after 3 days. So just set it aside, and you've got one of your main Thanksgiving dinners done. And you saw how easy that was.
Yeah,
it's just like anybody could do that. And this is what it looks like when it's done.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot one thing. I'm sorry. And that is, because this is something that my mom didn't do, but that I do, and I add a little bit of orange zest to it. And if you've got one of these things,
As soon as it comes off the heat.
As soon as it comes off of the heat, one of these microplane zesters. It's perfect for this. You can just zest right over it. You can just do it to taste.
Yeah, that only took a few minutes to make.
And stir that in. There you go. Now, ready for the fridge.
So good. So this is the finished product.
And this is what the finished product looks like. You can see it's kind of it's a loose gel, but it's got this great mix. Let's get a spoon.
You know, we've got some spoons right in next door.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're the hostess.
Okay. That is amazing.
You better like it. It's my mom's.
I love it. Tell your brother I love it. That orange zest, you can really.
I would make this all year round if I could.
I know. I would just eat it
I love that
regularly.
recipe.
It's so good. So
It feels like home.
where can our readers get the ebooks?
They can go to our homepage, latimes.com/food. It's a big box. You can go there, or you can go to, I think it's called latimes.com/bookstore, which is our main bookstore that has all of the different books in it.
And it's available on the Kindle,
iTunes, Kindle, and Nook. So
And Nook, right? And it's $4.99.
Perfect. So here it is.
There you go.
Here's the holiday
That's
handbook. Here it is. Well, thank you so much, Russ and Noelle. For more of our live chats, you can tune in at latimes.com/conversations. Thank you again, both of you. This was delicious. Again, for the LA Times, I'm Jasmine Ellis. Thank you for joining us.